Part 30. Fantasy, Me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 291. List of prodigies from all realms. These 5 words. Like a huge stone, it hit everyone's heart and caused an uproar. Many cultivators know that there are other worlds outside their own world, but other worlds have so far been except for the Zhixian world. Very few people have been to another world. Now, the senior poster has released the list of geniuses from all realms. Is this foreshadowing something? For example, the soul realm, the blood demon realm, etc. These worlds are relatively weak worlds. If the senior poster has integrated the Zhixian realm, will he also integrate these worlds? If so, the area of the entire world may reach infinity. Senior poster, I'm afraid there will be big moves next. Many people exclaimed. Yes. A saint nodded. He looked at the void, with a look of contemplation in his eyes, and said even the mysterious world of earth and immortality has no secrets for the senior poster. The earthly immortal world is indeed worthy of its name. It is indeed a world of immortals. Another saint, also looking at the list, with a hint of shock on his old face, said slowly, the strength of Yang Jian in this immortal world should not be underestimated. He has already reached the pinnacle of the heaven transformation realm at a young age. If he takes one step closer, he may reach the heavenly phenomenon realm. For the Tianyuan world, the celestial realm is already one level lower than the Holy Lord level. It is the backbone of any sect's combat power. If the sect is weak, such an existence can already be a leader. Ancestor. But in the earthly immortal world, he is still a younger generation. It is really shocking. In the final analysis, the Tianyuan world is still worse than the earthly immortal world. Someone shook his head slightly and said helplessly. This is not because Yechen and others are worse than Yang Jian, but because the world gap is there, the resources are not as good as others, and the concentration of spiritual energy is not as good as others. If you can catch up with other people's cultivation progress, you will have trouble. Good thing. During this time, the Tianji Tower appeared and helped many geniuses in the Tianyuan world catch up. Now, on the list of geniuses from all realms, except for Yu Qingxian who is still number 1, the remaining 19 are all geniuses from the earthly immortal realm. It was not until the 21st that the Chaos Lu Wu clan was seen. As for Yechen and others, they have fallen to about 30 people. Among the top 30, only 2 from the Tianyuan world were on the list, and the others were all surrounded by the earthly immortal world. This is a terrifying strength. Among the top 30, there may be some who are not as qualified as Yechen, but they have a unique environment that Yechen and others cannot match. Want to catch up? It is estimated that the price to pay is not small. After all, people are also making continuous progress. This immortal world is really terrifying. Among the top 30, there are 28 places. Many people looked shocked. Fellow Taoist, there is no need to be discouraged. Doesn't the number 1 position on the list of geniuses still fall into the hands of our Tianyuan world, Yu Qingxian? Someone said anxiously. They have known for a long time that Yu Qingxian is not simple. Today's look has confirmed everyone's guesses. However, they don't know how Yu Qingxian is not simple. Everyone in the world knows about this. Apart from Yu Qingxian herself, I am afraid that only the senior poster can understand it. A genius with unlimited knowledge who wants to buy her information is probably worth a lot of money. Originally, some forces were interested in Yu Qingxian and wanted to he absorbed her into his sect, but when they saw a female emperor from Kunlun ruins appeared, everyone gave up their thoughts at the same time. As long as their brains are normal, it is impossible for anyone to take advantage of Kunlun ruins now. 1. The Empress is jumping out, and few in the entire Tianyuan world can resist it. Fellow Taoist is right. Although our Tianyuan world only occupies 2 places in the top 30, it is still much better than other worlds that cannot even squeeze into the top 30. A demon clan said teasingly. Originally in the Tianyuan world, the human race and the demon clan were at odds with each other, but now with the 2 powerful worlds of the Zixuan realm and the earthly immortal realm on their side, the human race and the demon clan have completely become one. Although there are also 10,000 races in Zixuan realm, and they can be regarded as monsters. But they don't recognize themselves as monsters at all. Because the human race in Zixuan realm is too weak, they are composed of thousands of tribes, and they do not form a unified and huge ethnic group at all. Concept: every race wants to dominate the entire world. This form is completely different from the Tianyuan world. As for the earthly immortal world, this world is even simpler. The immortal clan is the only family, and there are no monster clan. Apart from the immortal clan, all other ethnic groups are mounts or food. Moreover, the attitude of the immortal tribe towards the human race is also very ambiguous. Although the two have the same origin, the immortal tribe in the earthly immortal world is superior and only thinks of the human race as a group similar to itself, allowing them to surrender identity. It is almost impossible to admit that you are the same as the human race. This is also the fundamental contradiction between the 3 worlds. What do you mean? Many creatures in the Zixuan realm are also staying in Dawang City. After hearing these words, many beings' expressions instantly became unsightly. On this list of geniuses from all realms, there is not even the top 30, even the top 50. The geniuses of the Zixuan realm. Because the gap in strength between them is too big. The number 1 ranked one is still at the peak of the reborn realm and has no choice to break through. In the 2 worlds of the earthly immortal realm and the Tianyuan realm, all the geniuses have already reached the heavenly transformation realm. This big realm is like a natural chasm. It is difficult to cross. Everyone, calm down your anger. The earthly immortal realm is powerful, and the space passage may be reopened at any time. When the creatures from the earthly immortal realm cross over, both the purple Xian realm and the Tianyuan realm are in danger of being destroyed. In this situation, it is better for everyone to live in harmony. He became a prudent person and stood up to smooth things over. Beside, some geniuses from the earthly immortal world stood aside and glanced at the creatures from the 2 worlds. They looked nervous and smiled disdainfully. They had never put these 2 worlds in their eyes. As long as the space channel is open, it is only a matter of time before the 2 worlds are destroyed. Maybe countless years later. The earthly immortal realm can also expand its scope of control. After all, the current Tianyuan world is no longer what it used to be. After the integration of the 2 worlds, the world level is no longer weaker than that of the earthly immortal world. Originally, they still looked down upon the Tianyuan world. But now I can take a fancy to it. The Tianji Tower is right next to it, but most of the creatures from the earthly immortal realm are not in Dawang City. This might be an opportunity. Now that the space passage in the earthly immortal realm has not yet been opened, if we go to the Tianji Tower and buy the whereabouts of these geniuses in the earthly immortal realm. A disciple wearing black clothes had the word Juyu embroidered on his sleeves. His eyes were gloomy. He made a downward movement with one hand and looked at the creatures in the fairy world not far away. The murderous intention was not concealed, and he said, "Anyway, the earthly immortal realm is very likely to be our enemy. We might as well take the first step and cut off all their geniuses. Wouldn't it mean that the earthly immortal realm will be directly disconnected?" Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 292. Kill all the geniuses in the earthly immortal world. As soon as this proposal came out, it was like a cold wind blowing through, and everyone couldn't help but shiver. Especially the creatures in the earthly immortal world. This moment, they felt the malice from both worlds. With Tianji's method, it can be said that it is easy to calculate their location. Looking at the two worlds, except for Dawang City, there is no place for them anymore. Uh-huh. 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 Countless eyes looked over at him. Obviously, some forces started to get excited. In the deserted city, the few creatures from the earthly immortal world couldn't help but shrink their necks. Although I and others are not weak, if this group of people gathers to attack and kill them, it will not take much effort. What to do? A genius from the earthly immortal realm wanted to cry without tears. He is ranked more than 300 on the list of geniuses from all realms. This ranking is not high. It is even considered to be in the middle and lower reaches. But placed among the three worlds, this he is already an extremely dazzling existence, and he has a great future in the future. As long as he does not fall, there is still some possibility of becoming an emperor in the future. If he dies here today, he will die unjustly. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but angry eyes glanced at the person who had just made the proposal. It was precisely because of this proposal that the creatures in the immortal world were on the verge of life and death. Young master, don't panic, in the deserted city, they dare not take action. Next to the young prodigy, an old man murmured. He was also very angry. But there was nothing he could do. After leading his young master out of the siege, he never thought about what would happen once he left Dawang City. It's all over. Only by staying here and not leaving can there be a glimmer of hope. After all, the four words Tianji Lozuo are a taboo. Even if I don't appear, this name alone is enough to make countless forces throw taboos. When the atmosphere in the deserted city was weird. Inside the Tianji building, the light curtain floated in front of Li Yun. This is a 2-point stunning list that has been arranged before, but has never had the chance to be released. Just when he wanted to let it out, two figures outside the door walked in together. Is it you? Seeing the coming person, Li Yun waved his hand and temporarily dispersed the light curtain, which was interesting. Juniors Yang Qiu and Bai Chenheng have met the senior poster. As soon as these two people came in, they saluted respectfully. Li Yun nodded and raised his hand deep in the air. A gust of breeze blew by and helped the two of them up. He pointed to the chair next to him and said, "Sit down." "Thank you, senior." After the two of them thanked each other, they sat on the chairs next to them. Li Yun glanced at Bai Chenheng first, and a look of understanding flashed in his eyes. People from the Tianyan dynasty had visited Tianji Tower several times some time ago. They bought it. There are many opportunities. Among them is the opportunity to become a saint. Now, when I see Bai Chenheng again, he has become a real saint. This cultivation speed is very fast, it can be called a rocket. Although it is unexpected, it makes sense. Because Bai Chenheng himself is the peak of the Holy Lord. His cultivation is gone, but his realm is still there. As long as he keeps taking pills, he can quickly come back from cultivation. Not only has his strength been restored, but he has also improved to a higher level. It can be regarded as fulfilling his father's long-cherished wish. If his father had known it, he would have smiled at Zhu. As for whether he was really smiling, only God knows. After glancing at Bai Chenheng, Li Yun's eyes the light fell on Yang Qiu. He chuckled and said, "You dare to step out of the 9 nether demon sect before you break through the Saint King, don't you worry about being chased by the Dragon Clan." Cough. Yang Qiu coughed dryly, with a bit of embarrassment on his face, and said, "To be honest, senior, at this time, the Dragon Emperor and the Junior Ancestor are being jointly hunted down by several restricted area emperors." "I know this." Li Yun nodded. He had to admit that Ao Xian was also a genius. He traveled hundreds of millions of miles and ran over to help Meng Qingzi and showed his face. As a result, the goal of showing his face was achieved, but he also fell into it. He take action. The emperors who were chasing Menqingzi suddenly had an extra target to chase him with. The two emperors were fighting against the five emperors, but their strength was still very different. Menqingzi's side had no chance of winning, and now they were everywhere in the chaotic sea. Hiding. Afraid of being found. So, you came here today to find a way for Menqingzi to survive. Li Yun tapped his fingers on the table and asked lightly. Right. Yang Qiu nodded helplessly. Originally, he didn't want to step out of the Nine Nether Demon sect, but now his ancestors were in danger, and the Dragon clan was still on the side of the Nine Nether Demon sect, so he naturally escaped the Dragon clan's pursuit order. At this time, there is no longer much danger when walking in the outside world. As long as the Dragon clan does not target him, other forces will not dare to provoke him. After all, in any case, Juyu Demon sect now has a great emperor, and that is genuine. As long as Menqingzi is not dead, Juyu Demon sect will not fall for a day. Do you know that just now, your Nine Nether Demon sect has established another powerful enemy? Li Yunfan said lightly. Yang Qiu's face changed, and he was extremely shocked. He has established a strong enemy again. What the hell is this? During this period, the Juyu Demon sect has been very low-key, and the ancestors' methods were too ruthless, and he offended a lot of people at once great emperor. Is it possible? On the way to escape, his ancestors set up a formation to provoke a restricted area. Thinking of this, Yang Qiu felt a toothache. It is really difficult to be the leader of the Nine Nether Demon section. Let the former Huanquan continue to be the leader of the Nine Nether Demon sect. Anyway, his ranking on the Holy Master list is about to drop out. Now that he is resigning, the Nine Nether Demon sect cannot be on the list, so that has nothing to do with him. All because of the next head teacher Tai Cai. Next to him. Bei Chenheng heard this. He couldn't help but glance at Yang Qiu one more time and mourned for him in his heart. The Nine Nether Demon sect is only as strong as it is now, but there are too many enemies. First of all, Ling Xiao, then Zixuan realm and Earth Immortal realm, and now each restricted area has been provoked. Thinking of so many enemies, he felt that if Menqingzi did not die, in the future, the four characters of Juyu Great Emperor would definitely be mentioned in history, leaving a lasting mark. Life is too legendary. I dare to ask Senior, has our Juyu Demon sect provoked that powerful enemy again? Yang Qiu asked. Even if the Nine Nether Demon sect may be destroyed in the future, it must at least be more understanding. If the other party is not strong, buying some information yourself may be able to turn the tide of the war, he said. Yang Qiu took out two great saint-level items. Li Yun glanced outside the door, put away the two items and said, You, the Nine Nether Demon sect, have provoked the entire earthly immortal world this time. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 293. Just now. Outside the Tianji Tower, he heard all the suggestions made by a disciple of the Nine Nether Demon sect. This matter is not a secret. Sooner or later the future will be revealed to the world. Once a few geniuses really fall because of his words, it is conceivable that once the creatures from the earthly immortal realm come over, they will inevitably settle with the Nine Nether Demon sect. At that time, the pressure that the Nine Nether Demon sect has to bear is really disappointing. Earthly immortal realm. Yang Qiu was stunned. How could the Nine Nether Demon sect behind him provoke a huge world? This is too fantasy. But what the senior said must not be groundless, and must have some basis. Is this person a disciple of your Juyu Demon sect? Li Yun waved his hand, and a screen of light appeared in front of him. What happened outside the Tianji Tower just now appeared in it. Among them, a man in black was talking. The voice echoed throughout the Tianji Tower. We might as well take the first step and cut off all their geniuses. Wouldn't this mean that the earthly immortal world would be directly disconnected? A passage of words reached the ears of the three people in Tianji Tower. Li Yun's expression remained unchanged and he was content. This matter had nothing to do with him anyway. Bei Chenheng had a strange look on his face. He glanced at Yang Qiu and felt a little excitement in his heart. I express my admiration. This Juyu demon sect is really ruthless, and none of them are good. Even the young disciples dare to scheme against the immortal world. This kind of style. Looking at the entire Tianyuan world, how many people can do it? Do you really think that the creatures in the earthly immortal world will never survive? Evil disciple. Yang Qiu's face turned red. After holding it in for a long time, he squeezed out two words with difficulty. He knew the man in the picture. Moreover, he was the kind of person who was so familiar that he couldn't be more familiar with him, because this person was the same person he had just met some time ago. He accepted a close disciple to make up for the vacancy left by Du Qinshang's death. What he never expected was that not long after becoming a disciple, this disciple would help their Juyu demon sect cause a huge disaster. Now, even if he is expelled from the school, it will not help. I have said everything, can I take it back? Fellow Daoist Yang, it's true, be a good believer. Bai Qinheng said with emotion. At this point, he feels ashamed of himself. Everyone in his Tianyan dynasty is very skillful and knows who can be offended and who can't be offended. They never speak out loud, but these nine everyone in the netherworld demon sect was obviously not taking the usual path. Yang Qiu glanced at Bei Chenheng with a troubled look on his face. At this moment, he was no longer in the mood to argue with Bai Qinheng. The nine nether demon sect was in danger. One mistake could cost millions. Years of inheritance are gone. The senior should have a solution here, but he doesn't think he can afford it. After all, the enemies provoked by the nine nether demon sect are too strong, and if the method given by the senior is too expensive, the nine nether demon will be even if Zong is sold, he can't even afford it. What should I do? Yang Qiu frowned. At first, he only thought about how to help his ancestor get through this disaster smoothly, but when he arrived at Tianji Tower, he realized that things were more difficult than he thought. Look away. Li Yun comforted him and said the enemies of your Juyu demon sect are not just here. After hearing this, Yang Qiu's heart stopped for a beat. What does this mean, senior? Why does it sound like there are other enemies of our Juyu demon sect? The everlasting city is also the enemy of the nine nether demon sect. Li Yun said with a smile. Sky, the eternal city. This name is very unfamiliar. Yang Qiu can confirm that he has never heard of it. When he suddenly heard this name, he suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart, as if something big was about to happen. It's normal that Menkingzi didn't tell you. With the strength of your nine nether demon sect, if you were to fight against the eternal city, it would be like hitting an egg against a stone. And Li Yun glanced at the outside world, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and said softly, the commander-in-chief of the everlasting city is on his way to the Tianji Tower. In 2 more hours, he will cross the chaos and come to Tianyuan realm. The emperor cannot walk in chaos for a long time, but he can still do it for a short time, and Tianhuang Eternal City happens to be in a chaotic zone not far from Tianyuan world. With Hongxuan's strength, walking safely is not a big problem. Yang Wenqiu heard this, he was immediately stunned. The ancestor was not in Juyu demon sect, but the people from the everlasting city came to kill him. As the elders said, the worst thing about this everlasting city is that the emperor is in charge. How can this happen? Fight? Maybe. Relying on the great emperor's formation, we can still persist for a while. But what if the method of breaking the formation of our own formation is known to Tianhuang Bulokeng? It is not too difficult to prevent the seniors from revealing the method of breaking the formation. Maybe, as for selling fake news, it is even more hopeless. The three words Tianji Tower represent everything. Senior. Yang Qiu rubbed his hands and pondered for a long time before speaking. How much is the formation breaking method of our 9 nether demon sect worth? After Meng Qingzi became emperor, he immediately changed the Juyu demon sect's mountain protecting formation. Now it is also an emperor level formation. Its power cannot be underestimated. It is not much different from the previous formation of Shaking Light Holy Land. Li Yun said casually. No big difference. Yang Qiu pursed his lips. This is not good news. If he could buy the formation breaking method of Shaking Light Holy Land in the first place, then others would be able to learn from it and treat others in their own way. Plus, what if something happens to my ancestor? Of course, just in case. If Meng Qingzi knew that his disciples were already thinking about his funeral before he died, he would probably be pissed off. Now, the ancestor is in a bad condition, and if he encounters other foreign enemies, whether the 9 nether demon sect can survive depends on his mood. This feeling is very bad. He could die at any time. For the sake of his own life, Yang Qiu felt that he had to find a way to make the 9 nether demon sect's formation stronger, at least to last for a while longer. Improving an emperor's formation was impossible to do with his strength. But after the mountain protecting formation, it is not difficult to arrange several formations, but this is of little use. The seniors can figure out everything as soon as they calculate. It comes down to it. Whether the Juyu demon sect can survive depends on whether the senior poster sells the news. As long as the seniors don't nod, it will be impossible for other forces to attack the 9 nether demon section. Even if the emperor takes action, it will take some effort to break the formation. Think of this. Yang Qiu's eyes lit up, and he quickly asked Senior, can you sell the method for breaking the mountain guard formation of our 9 nether demon sect at a slightly higher price? In this way, the Senior neither said that he would not sell it nor that he would sell fake news. It should not violate the rules of Tianji Tower, right? Said. Yang Qiu took out several books of great sage-level exercises and placed them in front of Li Yun. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 294. Oh. Li Yun raised his eyebrows. He took a deep look at Yang Qiu. Is he trying to raise his net worth? In this way. If other people have other ideas about the 9 nether demon sect, they need to pay the price is much higher. Although it cannot guarantee the absolute safety of the 9 nether demon sect, it can still allow many forces to dispel some of their dissent. Saving the country through curves. It must be said that Li Yun and Yang Qiu share this idea. Together, Tianjilu sells first-hand encryption services. The already valuable information is expensive. If he sells it more expensively, it is reasonable. And the resources these people sell will all fall into his own hands. Once others learn from this, in this way, why worry about not being able to make a fortune? Can. Li Yun nodded. This request is exactly what he wants. There is no reason to disagree. Thank you, Senior. Yang Qiu was overjoyed. Next to him, Bei Chenheng looked at the scene with a strange look on his face. He was thinking in his mind, is his Tianyan dynasty also doing this? But after thinking about it, Tianyan dynasty seemed to have nothing. Enemy. There's no need to do this. Senior. Bai Chenheng cupped his hands and said quickly, this junior is here. For your son. Li Yun glanced at Bei Chenheng and said bluntly. Yes. Bai Chenheng nodded. His eldest son really couldn't help him. During this period, the saint sons and even saint girls of every power were improving rapidly, but the crown prince of the Tianyan dynasty could not keep up with others. No, it's because the prince of the Tianyan dynasty has a bad character. It's because his qualifications are limited. Although there are ways to change it, an opportunity is enough, but this kind of opportunity to change one's fate against the will of heaven often costs a lot, and the Tianyin dynasty will also feel heartache. More after thinking about it for a while. Bei Chenheng finally decided to abolish the crown prince and let his third prince take the throne. This son has good qualifications. Even the seniors have said that if he pays more attention to his third son and trains him more, he will probably catch up with those on the genius list. It's not too difficult to exist. If your third son wants to catch up with some amazing talents, he will have to pay a huge price, which is difficult for ordinary forces to bear. Li Yun said lightly. It is very simple to temporarily catch up with the footsteps of those geniuses. You only need to overdraw your future potential. Not only can you catch up with Ye Chen and others, but you can even overtake them. But this situation is obviously not what Bai Hung wants to see. What he wants is for his third son to be on par with other geniuses, and still have a deep foundation. This is very difficult. It is equivalent to spending money to buy a future quasi-emperor or great emperor. That. Bei Chenheng had a wry smile on his face. After hearing Li Yun's words, he realized that he had thought too much and could only settle for the next best thing. He would not be able to make it to the list of geniuses in all realms. Those from the Tianyuan world will be fine, right? Your third son's qualifications are acceptable in the Tianyin dynasty, but in the Tianyuan world, he is not top-notch. As for the world, Li Yun didn't say much. Just shook his head slightly. Seeing this scene, Bei Chenheng felt a lot colder in his heart. It's not like your third son can't compete for the human race rankings in the Tianyuan world. It's unlikely that he will become an emperor in the future, but there is still some hope for a quasi-emperor. Li Yun Kankan said something, glanced at Bei Chenheng, and said meaningfully, the future is still long and full of countless possibilities. Your third son may not have a chance to become emperor. Ah! Bai Hung heard this. He perked up and reacted quickly. Is the senior giving him a hint? Since the establishment of the Tianyin dynasty, let alone the great emperor, there has only been one quasi-emperor. In terms of background, it is not as good as the previous 9. Yumo sect. But at this time, the senior actually told himself that his third son had the possibility of becoming emperor. Senior means. Bai Heng lowered his voice. The road must be walked step by step, and the rice must be eaten bite by bite. Li Yun said earnestly. Bei Chenheng was still confused about what Yang Qiu had understood a long time ago. It's not his fault. In the final analysis, the possibility of becoming emperor made him unable to calm down. To this day, the emperor is still well-deserved. Overlord-level figure. The emergence of a great emperor from any force is announcing the arrival of their era of rule to all living beings. Senior, look at these things. This junior's incompetent son can be put on the Tianyuan realm human race's list of geniuses. What's the rank? Bai Hung took off the ring on his hand. For the sake of his third son, he spent a lot of money this time. Within the scope of the ability of Emperor Tianyin, he mobilized all the resources that could be mobilized, just to let his son stand out. I have to say, Bei Chenheng, an old father, is quite good at his job. Can enter the top 80. Li Yun said casually. 80. Bai Hung made an estimate in his mind. This ranking is a bit lower than what he expected. He is ranked 80th on the list of geniuses of the human race. He is placed above the 10,000 clans in the Tianyuan realm. He cannot even enter the top 500. As for the 10,000 realms, I don't even know that I am behind tens of thousands of people. But 80 is better than not even ranking at all. And there will always be countless surprises among the opportunities given by the senior poster. Every opportunity can make people make a lot of money, but the prerequisite is whether they can keep this opportunity. Because once the news is sold, it has nothing to do with Tianji Tower. On the way to find opportunities, he was killed by someone to steal the treasure, or was followed, resulting in the loss of both life and property. This was all his own fault. It has nothing to do with Tianji Tower. In the past, this kind of thing has happened several times. If you are not strong enough, you can't blame others. Now everyone who enters the Tianji Tower and then goes out is cautious, fearing that they are not well hidden and will be spotted. The Tianyin dynasty was quite tyrannical in its own 3/4 of an acre of land. But when placed in front of the Tianyuan world, or even the Zixuan world or the earthly immortal world, it is not enough. There are definitely not a few people who dare to provoke the Tianyin dynasty right now. Please give me some advice from my seniors. Baikan Hung bowed and saluted. Easy to say. Li Yun nodded, opened the system panel, and after some inquiries, he spent 50,000 TNG points to buy an opportunity and engraved it on the jade slip. This is the opportunity you want. With a whoosh, the jade slip flew out and landed in front of Bai Chen Hung. Bai Chen Hung took the jade slip with excitement, glanced at its contents, frowned slightly, and said with a hint of surprise. Senior, was this opportunity within the control of the Blood Demon clan? Good. Li Yun nodded and added, but this opportunity has nothing to do with the Blood Demon clan. It is the tomb of a saint king in ancient times. Call beside. Yang Qiu breathed a sigh of relief. When he heard the word Blood Demon clan, he thought that when several major forces joined forces to destroy the Blood Demon clan, they missed a certain treasure house. It seems not now. It's an opportunity that even the Blood Demon clan has never discovered. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 295. Senior. Yang Qiu seemed to have remembered something, and suddenly asked, the great emperor of the Blood Demon realm is dead. There are really too many enemies in the 9 Nether Demon sect. Yang Qiu felt numb all over. The great emperor of the Blood Demon realm is in Nirvana. Only the senior poster knows whether he is alive or dead. If he is dead, then everyone will be happy. If he survives, the great emperor who succeeded in Nirvana, not to mention the great improvement in strength, once he crossed over, the Ye Imperial clan and the Golden Crow clan would be lucky to have quasi-emperors and become emperors. He is relatively low-key, but his strength is not weak. Not to mention destroying the Blood Demon world, self-protection should be fine. With Meng Qingzi becoming the emperor, their Juyu Demon sect could sit firmly on the Diaotai, but unfortunately, the enemies of the Juyu Demon sect would almost have to form a reinforced company. Meng Qing alone cannot stop so many enemies. Fellow Daoist Yang, what do you mean? Baikan Hung was displeased. He had finally bought a chance. Yang Qiu was involved in the Blood Demon realm at this time. Is he deliberately disgusting himself? What if the Blood Demon realm emperor is not dead? What if? Go get it yourself. By chance, what should I do if I bump into that great emperor crossing over? Nirvana is different from reincarnation. It can last for thousands of years, or as short as a few years, or even a few months. Thinking of the different rules of the Blood Demon realm, the longevity of the great emperor is only there are tens of thousands of years. The emperor's lifespan is so short, so Nirvana will definitely not be too long. Maybe in a few months, we can almost know the ending. Now, every moment, the great emperor of the Blood Demon realm there is a chance of crossing over. Just asking out of curiosity. Yang Qiu glanced sideways at Bai Chen Hung and said calmly, the destruction of the Blood Demon clan had nothing to do with the Tianyin dynasty. Fellow Taoist, just rest assured. Baikan Hung's face darkened. What do you mean it doesn't matter? All the creatures of the Blood Demon clan were destroyed, and the number was not just billions. So many of a great emperor's people were killed. If he didn't implicate innocent people, it would be almost impossible for them to come across the border. It must be a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. In other words, every living being in the Tianyuan world has the possibility of being liquidated. The life and death of a great emperor is not cheap. Do you really want to ask? Li Yun said with a half smile but not a smile. Others didn't know it, but he himself knew it well. The value of the great emperor of the blood demon realm has been soaring crazily during this period. Originally, it would take a long time to inquire about his information. More than 1 million TNG points. Now it is already 4 million. And the value is still increasing. What does this mean? The great emperor of the blood demon realm is not simple. If he is stronger, the value of his body will be higher. Where is the limit? No one can tell clearly. Maybe he has the possibility of becoming an immortal against the will of heaven. Although the blood demon world does not support a great emperor becoming an immortal. But there are always some amazing talents and weirdos who can find another way. How expensive is it? Yang Qiu tried. I sold your entire Juyu demon sect, and it's not even half of it. Li Yunfan said lightly. So expensive? Yang Qiu's heart skipped a beat. He raised a question and had a bad premonition. An emperor who was about to die was not worth so much. From the few words of the senior poster, he inferred a terrible truth. Then the great emperor of the blood demon realm may have achieved nirvana. You are very smart. Li Yun chuckled. He was not surprised at all that Yang Qiu could guess it. This is what he wanted to tell Yang Qiu. A person knows that he is going to die, and knowing that he is going to die soon are two completely different concepts. Anyone who knows that he is about to die may not be able to calm down. If at this moment, someone can tell him the time of death and how to avoid death, this person will definitely do everything to avoid it. And the great emperor of the blood demon realm, he crossed over the time was when the 9 nether demon sect, the Ye imperial clan and other forces were facing a catastrophe. Yang Qiu learned the news. The first thing he had to do was to ventilate the Ye imperial clan, the Golden Crow and other clans. After all, it was the 6 major forces who jointly worked to destroy the blood demon clan. When the great emperor of the blood demon realm comes over, his first priority is to settle accounts with them. The enemy is about to come. If the clan leaders of these 6 forces can still sit still, then there is a ghost. Senior, Junior plans to go to the Ye imperial clan. Yang Qiu cupped his hands and said with an extremely serious expression. The current Juyu demon sect can no longer withstand any storms. Although the ancestor is besieged by several great emperors in the Chaos Star Sea, it is due to the special characteristics of the Chaos Star Sea. In a short period of time, there is no fear of life. But if the great emperor of the blood demon realm doesn't try to stop it, the 9 nether demon sect will definitely be shattered at a touch. Although he didn't know when the great emperor of the blood demon realm would come. But, just knowing that he is still alive is enough. The Ye imperial clan and the Golden Crow clan will naturally come to Tianji Tower to buy information. The Juyu demon sect cannot afford many resources, but these 2 forces can. If the Kunpeng clan and the Chaos Luo clan are added, the resources they have put out. Not to mention the news about buying a great emperor, there is also the specific news about the blood demon world. The quasi-emperor of the Ye clan and the ancestor of the Golden Crow have all become emperors. Although their time as emperors was short-lived, they are still great emperors. If they join forces, they should be able to stop the great emperor of the blood demon realm, right? Yang Qiu thought in his heart. Go ahead. Li Yun waved his hand and said casually. Resign, Junior. Yang Qiu saluted again, then turned and left. He was very fast. As soon as he stepped out of the Tianji Tower, his figure disappeared between heaven and earth. In the Tianji Tower, Bei Chenheng didn't look good. Yang Qiu's words just now reminded him. When the great emperor of the blood demon realm comes over, although he will not immediately seek out the Tianyan dynasty, if he hits the muzzle of the gun himself, then there is no guarantee. A great emperor will not mind crushing a few people casually. Just ants. Their Tianyan dynasty, in the eyes of the emperor, is exactly the same as ants. Senior, if we take advantage of the opportunity, we won't be in danger, right? Bei Chen-heng's expression was very stiff. He pondered for a moment, then took out several exercises and placed them on the table. Among them were the methods of becoming a saint through luck. Life is not in danger. Li Yun glanced at these exercises and spit out 4 words. Call. When Bei Chen-heng heard this, his face brightened slightly and he let out a sigh of relief. After spending such a huge price to buy only 4 words, it seemed like a huge loss, but in fact, these 4 words saved their lives. Li Yun's voice seemed to be filled with magic. Bei Chen-heng's worried heart gradually calmed down. He bowed his hands and said respectfully. The juniors also said goodbye. Li Yun nodded. After receiving Li Yun's reply, Bei Chen-heng left the Tianji Tower quickly and flew towards the ancestral land of the Blood Demon clan. Now that time is running out, since the Blood Demon Realm Emperor is not dead. May come at any time. Naturally, it is better to take that opportunity as soon as possible. Otherwise, things will change if it is too late. Therefore, he plans to go there himself. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 296. Bei Chen-heng and Yang Qiu were sent away. Li Yun looked away and glanced at the 2 lists in front of him. These are 2 stunning lists. It was released some time ago, but there was no time to release it. It has been delayed until now, and it is time for the world to open its eyes. 1 share is the cultivation level of the great sage to the great emperor. There were only 10 people on it. But it includes the 3 worlds of Earthly Immortal Realm, Zixuan Realm, and Tianyuan Realm. It's not that he doesn't want to line up more people, but the number is really too small. It's not that there are few strong men, nor that there are few strong women. Rather, on the list of stunning beauties, there must be people who are beautiful and fragrant, and who will captivate the country. But not every strong woman maintains her youthful appearance. There is always a part of her that remains. When she is young, her appearance may be the best in the world, but when she gets old, her appearance is long gone. Such a person would naturally not be on the list. In this way, some people will be eliminated. In addition, from the perspective of human aesthetics, many ethnic groups are really unworthy of the world. Most of the creatures were eliminated. Piece everything together. It is really not an easy task to find 10 beauties who are the most outstanding in the world among the beings above the great saints of the 3 worlds. As for another list, it is the younger generation, who also live in 3 worlds together. This time, the quota is not 10 people, but 100 people. System. Li Yun spoke. Let's put these 2 lists out. As soon as the words fell, outside the Tianji building, 2 rays of light bloomed, like 2 small suns, blooming thousands of rays of light, and the rules of heaven and earth were intertwined, as if the heaven had given birth to a response. It turned into 2 stone tablets and settled in the void. The moment the stone tablet appeared, densely packed words covered the surface of the stone tablet. Is there a new list? In Dawang City, countless people saw the movement and looked up one after another. Many people looked surprised. In just a few days, the senior Tianji building master actually released the list twice. This is the first time in history. Suffered. I don't know, what's on the list this time? Someone asked curiously. It seems to be a stunning list. A young man said excitedly. The host actually made a list of stunning beauties. My junior sister is as beautiful as a flower, so she will definitely be on the list. Oh, my senior sister is incomparable in physical body, and she once killed a strong man in the heaven transformation realm with one punch. If she hadn't been a little older, she would definitely be on the list of geniuses. A tall man with muscles all over his body, chi and blood rushing to the sky, holding two big axes in his hands, said with a loud voice, "Now that there is no age limit on this stunning list, my senior sister must have a place on it." Joke. Several monsters stood in the crowd, all with horns on their heads, with sneers on their faces, and said disdainfully, "Are there beauties among the human race? It's really ridiculous that I, Neubasian, have been walking in the world of cultivation for thousands of years, but why can't I see that human beauty? You don't need to argue, just look at the stunning list and you will know." Someone said. As soon as these words came out, the noise in the crowd temporarily subsided. They all looked up. First place, Emperor Hades. Race, fairy. Identity, Lord of the Underworld. Cultivation, peak Emperor. The world it belongs to, earthly immortal world. Is this a person from the earthly immortal realm? Emperor of Hades? This title is interesting. In our Tianyuan world, we also have the Nether race, but they are a race that was reborn after death. This Nether Emperor is obviously a living emperor. I don't know how elegant it is to be ranked first on the list of stunning women. If I could see it with my own eyes, I would die without regrets. Oh, are you able to mention the name of Emperor Hades? No one in our immortal world has seen their true appearance. If Emperor Hades comes in person, the Tianyuan world can be destroyed with his hands. Countless people talked about it. Everyone is curious about the true appearance of these beings on the stunning list. The first stunning list, the weakest being on it, is also the peak of the great sage. This list is probably made up of the older generation. An old man stroked his beard and said, "Yes." Someone next to him echoed after this list came out, "I'm afraid some old monsters will regain their former appearance." Everyone has a love for beauty. Even cultivators are not exempt from vulgarity. In the past, that was it. Many people focused on cultivation and did not care about their appearance. No one would care about it because of it. The enemy is good looking and shows mercy. But as soon as this stunning list comes out, any woman who is somewhat competitive will probably restore her youthful appearance. Such small tricks are simply too easy for them. It's easy. After all, the demon race can transform into human form at will. As for the human race, there is no need to change their appearance. As long as they regain their youth, it doesn't take much effort at all. If you want to save trouble, a beauty pill can solve everything. Look, the person ranked first on the second stunning list is still Yu Qingxian. This person's strength is unparalleled in the world, and even his appearance is unmatched. Someone lost his voice and said, "Even Fen Nishang from Deluo Sword Sect is on the list." An uncle-level figure from the Tianyan dynasty said in a deep voice, "Fen Nishang has a lot of secrets in her body. She was originally a casual cultivator, but after entering the Deluo Sword Sect, she received the support of a big force. Her cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds, and her future is limitless." Some elders exclaimed, "Fen Nishang has been too weird during this period. Her cultivation speed has simply surpassed the understanding of the world. Even with the help of Deluo Jianzong to buy information in Tianji Tower, it is a bit too outrageous." Wanja ranked 200th on the Tianjiao list. This ranking is extremely high. Among all the Tianjiao in the Tianyuan world, she is almost in the top 10. You know, in the past, in the Tianyuan world, she was only at the top of the human race's Tianjiao list. Only 30. But now he is going upstream, surpassing countless beings at the same level, making many people shout that it is incredible. All creatures of all races do not understand this. But Li Yun has known it for a long time. As a casual cultivator, Fen Nishang, but in the past, I carried an old lady with me. She obviously had a template for the protagonist. Maybe she was the girl of luck in the Tianyuan world. As a casual cultivator, she could reach the top 30 on the list of geniuses of the human race. At this time, with the help of Deluo Sword Sect, it would be unreasonable not to soar into the sky. With the luck of Tianyuan realm and her potential, becoming an emperor is just the beginning, and becoming an immortal is not impossible. Jingle bell. At this time, a crisp ringing sound came. Then, the petals are flying all over the sky, sparkling in the sunlight, and the fragrant fragrance enters the nose, making the pores all over the body relax. A chariot, like a divine moon, slowly drove towards the end of the street. It was surrounded by rain of flowers and glowing clouds, like a fairy palace in Guanggan, banished to the world. Junzi, the Holy Lady Ziwei. Ranked 89 on the stunning list. The stunning list just appeared, and here she is. The moment they saw the chariot, countless people were momentarily stunned. Even some older people couldn't help but be moved. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 297. Junzi, a woman who resembles the goddess of Luo, has been the most stunning woman in the Ziwei Holy Land for tens of thousands of years. Undisputed. Some women who are proud of themselves and have extraordinary beauty feel ashamed in front of him. She has jade flesh and immortal bones. Every time she travels, she will cause a sensation. Without exception, everyone who sees her appearance is shocked. She is suspected to be the reincarnation of the Nine Heavens mysterious lady, which makes people's hearts sway. Even the living fossils are excited. There are no gorgeous descriptions for this woman, and any words put on her will be eclipsed. Like a bright moon in the sky, she is the most beautiful in the world and is admired by everyone. In the past, the reputation of Holy Maiden Ziwei was spread all over the world. Today, when we meet her, her reputation is well deserved. She is worthy of being the 89th ranked woman on the list of stunning beauties. Someone sighed softly. There is no longer any controversy in the list compiled by the senior poster. An extraordinary woman like the Holy Lady Ziwei is only ranked 89th. I wonder how elegant the dozens of people in front of her are. A young genius murmured. That kind of person is not accessible to ordinary people. The origins of every stunning woman on the stunning list should not be underestimated. They all come from great powers. And almost everyone is listed on various lists of geniuses. For most people, not only being close to him, but even saying a word to him is as difficult as climbing to the sky. Some senior figures said in a deep voice. Most of the beings on the list of stunning beauty are creatures from the Earth Immortal Realm. As far as I know, although the Earth Immortal Realm is called the Immortal Clan, it is no different from the human race. Could it be said that the seniors are also ranked according to the appearance of the human race? Some people speculated. That should be it. A Holy Lord level figure nodded, glanced at the demon clan around him, and said. Regardless of whether it is the Tianyuan world or the Zixuan world, any ethnic group or any creature will turn into a human form after successful cultivation. Senior poster, it is reasonable to rank this list based on the human race. I don't know when I will be able to go to the immortal world and see the faces of the goddesses at the top of the stunning list. Some people thought about it and said. I advise you to put away such thoughts. If you can go to the earthly immortal realm, it means that people from the earthly immortal realm can also come. Then it will not be as simple as just a few stunning beauties. Some elders said solemnly. The earthly immortal realm is too terrifying, and people don't know their attitudes. If they have undue thoughts about the Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm, they simply can't resist it. From the few words of the creatures in the earthly immortal realm, many people have already speculated that there are living true immortals in the Earth Immortal Realm. If those supreme beings take action, the Tianyuan realm and the Zixuan realm are tied together, and it is not enough for them to hold down with one finger. For the sake of a few stunning women, the entire world has been trapped. Regardless of the world, no one would be so stupid as to take the initiative to provoke the earthly immortal realm. It is best that the earthly immortal realm can never come across the border. This is the best ending. As for the people in the earthly immortal realm, can they go back? Then it's not something they need to consider anymore. On the contrary, the people from the earthly immortal realm are the ones who need to worry about this the most. It's not easy to see the list of stunning beauties. There is a stunning beauty in front of you who is number 89 on the list of stunning beauties, and there is another one who is ranked number 1 in the Kunlun ruins. Brother, you can go and have a look. Someone said jokingly. Fellow Taoist, are you joking? The person who just spoke has a dark complexion. Let's not talk about the Xiwei Holy Land. It is an extremely terrifying holy land. Countless years ago, a great emperor walked out of it, and his background is bottomless. Although the Xiwei Holy Land is relatively low-key, there is no trace of it. People dare to look down on each other. The Holy Maiden Xiwei is not only the 89th on the most beautiful list, but also the 107th on the list of geniuses in the Tianyuan realm. She is not something ordinary people can provoke. As for the Kunlun ruins, she was a Jedi in previous years. Now it has become a restricted area. Countless people suspect that there is a living emperor living among them. At this time, they run over to see Yu Qingxian, who is number 1 on the beauty list. What is the difference between seeking death? You know, the years of the existence of Kunlun ruins, but compared to some of today's Ye Imperial clan and Lin Imperial clan, they have existed even longer, and their specific origins are almost impossible to trace. After a long time, only a few people can enter it. Only those who come out alive seem to be the 2 masters and servants of Ye Chen in the recent period. Apart from that, there is no one alive. Even if the quasi-emperor carrying the emperor's soldiers went in, he would not be able to survive. This shows the horror in it. From the appearance of this stunning beauty list, I am afraid that the one who will gain the most is my wonderful desire. A man wearing colorful fairy clothes opened a folding fan. There were beauties on it. They were like fishes and geese, and the moon was shy of flowers. They were all beautiful and fragrant, making people's hearts sway at a glance. Woman. I just sent a message that in the near future, I, the holy son of wonderful Yudeo, will go to Xiwei Holy Land to propose marriage. The man said with a slight smile. As soon as these words came out, many people looked over with strange eyes, as if they were looking at a dead person. The name of Saint Xiwei is very dazzling, and many saints have come there before. They proposed marriage, but were rejected in the end. If the holy son of Miao Yu Dao went to propose marriage, it would be considered good if he was not beaten out by Xiwei Holy Land. For a sect that harvests yin and replenishes yang, it would be too much to think about marrying with Xiwei Holy Land. The pattern of Taoist friends has become smaller. Someone waved their hands and said seriously, if you want to propose marriage to Miao Yu Dao, why not go to the earthly immortal world? For example, how about going to Ming Emperor, who is ranked first on the first stunning list, to propose marriage to her? Fellow Taoist, are you kidding me? The man in colorful fairy clothes turned gloomy. The emperor of the underworld in the earthly immortal world knew not to be trifled with just by his name, not to mention that his strength was at the peak of the great emperor. To reach this point, he said it unceremoniously. He has the hope of becoming an immortal. Although my wonderful desire Dao is not weak, it can be compared to some holy places. But if I provoke the existence of a peak emperor, one look from that person can make all the wonderful desire Dao instantly disappear into ashes. It was the fellow Taoist who made the joke first. The person next to me said anxiously. Go to Emperor Hades to propose marriage. Many creatures from the earthly immortal realm heard this and looked over, looking very interested. The weight of the word underworld emperor. may not be clear to the creatures from the Tianyuan realm. But people from the earthly immortal realm know everything about it. Chu. This underworld emperor has established a terrifying force. Although it was not founded for a long time, there is a peak emperor sitting in charge. Most people would not dare to provoke her. Especially her ambition, this is a force that makes countless people fear. A person who should be feared has only been emperor for tens of thousands of years, but he has destroyed countless powers. If that's all, that's all. Raising a storm rashly will inevitably arouse the hostility of countless people, and then join forces to destroy it. Unfortunately, she has become climate. To destroy such an emperor who is in the process of rapid advancement, the price to pay is too high. If she blocks the siege, the next reckoning will be a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Therefore, all the major forces in the immortal world choose to sit back and watch the existence of the Hades Emperor. As long as they are not provoked, they will let it go. Moreover, this Hades Emperor is unparalleled in talent. He has cultivated to the peak of the great emperor in only 100,000 years. He is known as the best in thousands of years. The most promising person to become an immortal. Such a person is naturally arrogant. If he goes to propose marriage to her, he will definitely die in a hurry. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 298. Although the list of stunning women is named after their stunning beauty, the people who make it onto the list are all extremely talented and beautiful people, which shows that the senior poster has good intentions. Someone sighed and said. At this time, the brilliance spread. After the jade car stopped for a moment, it floated away, lingering in the sky with petals, carrying endless freshness, leaving a mysterious stream of light. Countless people's eyes followed the jade car. Jade moved. Finally, under everyone's gaze, Jade stopped in front of Tianji Tower. In the middle, a woman who made the mountains and rivers eclipse, and the sun and moon dimmed walked out. This kind of beauty should not appear in the world, making people feel extremely unreal, without any flaws, like the reincarnation of Luo Shen, with bright eyes and good vision, and skin like white jade, magnificent and elegant. She has a slender figure, black hair as shiny as satin, and a vertical red line between her eyebrows, beating like a flame, radiant and adding to the beauty. She gained endless spiritual energy. When she walked down from Yahoo, she didn't look sideways, moved her steps lightly, and walked straight into the Tianji Tower. Pity. A genius shook his head and said dejectedly, such a person has rejected too many proposals from the Holy Sun, and it is difficult for ordinary people to appreciate him. As he said this, he glanced at the Miao Dao disciple next to him, as if he was telling him something, and also seemed to be telling everyone present. Zixuan realm. The ancestral land of the human race. In a large hall. Yang Jian was dressed in white clothes, spotless. He looked at the vast mountains, opened the folding fan in his hand, and shook it gently, like an immortal, floating out of the dust. Son. The middle-aged quasi-emperor stepped inside. He held a jade slip in his hand and came behind Yang Jian. Do you have any idea about the space channel? Yang Jian's body shape is different and he said calmly. No. The middle-aged quasi-emperor shook his head. The true immortal inheritance team did not have the great emperor in charge, but they had many trump cards. They could barely compete with the great emperor in a short time, and with the guidance of the master of Tianji. They took out the insights left by a true immortal. It can be said that there is no danger. The insights of a true immortal are priceless. If the news leaks out, any emperor will be tempted. Therefore, Yang Jian and others do not have any sense of security in the Zixuan realm. They were thinking about how to return to the earthly immortal realm. Such a situation was something they had never thought of before going down to the lower realm. After all, if the space passage was not broken, No one in their Yugzu palace would dare to provoke them even if the emperor did not come down. Send back a message. The emperor of Yugzu palace can come down in minutes. But without the space channel, everything has changed. Without the emperor, Yugzu palace is precarious here. The only few people can't stop the emperor at all. Precisely because there is no great emperor, they want to open a space passage by themselves, but they cannot do it. They can only place their hopes on the ancestors of Yugzu palace or the several great emperors who are together in the lower world. Then why did you come here this time? Yang Jian asked. The Holy Sun, the mysterious senior master of Tianji, has released a new list. The middle-aged quasi-emperor handed over the jade slip. Oh! Yang Jian turned around, his eyebrows flew into his temples, full of heroic spirit. He put away the folding fan, raised his palm, and a suction force came out, and he immediately took the jade slip away. There is a new list, but there are creatures from the immortal world on the list. Yang Jian asked. He had been to Tianji Tower once before. Regarding the list above Dawang City, he could say that he was familiar with it. If you want to understand the Tianyuan world, just take a look at the list and you will understand that the older generation of Tianyuan world still has among the younger generation, who are the people worthy of attention. Nothing can be hidden from the Holy Sun. In the new list, not only is the Holy Sun ranked second on the list of geniuses in all realms, but even the Emperor of Hades is on the list of stunning beauty. The middle-aged quasi-emperor said in a deep voice. Am I only second? Yang Jian looked stunned. He didn't expect this. In the earthly immortal world, although there is no Tianji Tower, among the younger generation, he has almost defeated all the invincible opponents in the world. No one of his generation can compete with him. Even if he doesn't win list, he is also known as the number one among the younger generation. Unexpectedly, in the eyes of the senior poster, he is actually the second. This is the first. Yang Jian's spiritual consciousness penetrated into the jade slip, took a look at the contents, and a trace of deep thought flashed in his eyes. Have you found out anything about Yu Qingxian? Well. The middle-aged quasi-emperor's face froze, he clasped his fists, and said with shame, to be honest with you, Holy Sun, this immortal Yu Qing is too mysterious. It seems that she has never stepped out of Kunlun ruins since she was born. My subordinates inquired in many places, but they could only find out a little bit about it. We only know that Ye Chen, who is second on the list of geniuses among the human race in the Tianyuan realm, once fought against Yu Qingxian, and was defeated by a single move in the end, almost losing his life. Other than that, he had no other achievements. Ye Chen. Yang Jian's face changed. He took a look at Ye Chen's ranking in the jade slip. Ye Chen is now ranked 81st in the list of geniuses in all worlds. This ranking is very high. In the earthly immortal world, he is also an outstanding existence. But in the battle with Yu Qingxian, he was defeated in one move. There are rumors in the Tianyuan world that this person is the reincarnation of a great emperor, but it has never been recognized by the owner of Tianji. The middle-aged quasi-emperor said. In the Tianyuan world, anything can only be true if the master Tianji nods. If the master Tianji doesn't nod, it will be treated as a rumor. It can be seen from this. The four-character reputation of the master Tianji is the emperor reincarnated? Yang Jian took a look and saw that the record behind Yu Qingxian's name was that in addition to defeating Ye Chen with one move, he also used a formation to defeat a saint with one move. Obviously, the record of using the formation has been ignored by countless people. This it is no longer his own combat power and cannot be counted in his own performance. You must know that a person who has just cultivated can easily kill a saint using the great emperor killing formation. There is no comparison between the two. He has never been born, but he is one step ahead of countless people. Perhaps the only explanation is the reincarnation of the great emperor. Yang Jian opened and closed his eyes and said softly. When he reached the stage of the great emperor, he had already created his own way. When he started practicing again, he was naturally extremely fast. After all, the insights were all in his mind. And Yang Jian himself, although his talent was good, eventually failed. Following other people's paths is far from the point where he can create his own path. Compared with Yu Qingxian, he is naturally much slower. It seems that this Yu Qingxian of the Tianyuan world has a big goal in this reincarnation. Yang Jian murmured. At this time, Yu Qingxian's strength has been cultivated to the middle stage of the celestial phenomenon. His cultivation level is progressing extremely quickly. There is no bottleneck at all. As long as his cultivation level is reached, any realm will be a matter of course. Before the great emperor, everything will be perfect. A smooth road. In anyone's opinion, her goal is probably not the great emperor. After all, she was the great emperor in her last life. She reincarnated for unknown reasons and rebuilt her life. In this life, her goal is definitely higher than the great emperor. In the previous Tianyuan world, it may not be possible it accommodates existences above the great emperor, but it is different now. After the two worlds merged, hundreds of millions of creatures intuitively felt the difference in the world. The great emperor is no longer the end. Becoming a true immortal has become the ultimate goal for all cultivators. Target. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 299. List of prodigies from all realms. Yang Jian glanced around and glanced at the contents. From the first name down, there were several familiar names, each of which came from the earthly immortal world. Many of them had crossed paths with him. There are even more people who are defeated by him. Even the results of the battles were arranged. When he reached the 11th place, Yang Jian paused. He took a deep look at the 11th name and spoke slowly. Fang Han. When he came down from the earthly immortal realm, Fang Han was only in the middle stage of the heavenly transformation realm. How long had it passed? He had already reached the late stage of the heavenly transformation realm. Even his ranking on the 10,000 worlds talent list was as high as 11th, even behind him. And there are several geniuses who are at the peak of the heavenly transformation realm. This is too incredible. In the late stage of the heavenly transformation realm, they actually suppress some geniuses of the same generation. Even if they are only in a small realm, it is enough to shock people. This can be seen. Fang Han's potential is bottomless. Holy Son, Fang Han should not be underestimated. The middle-aged quasi-emperor said. Even he discovered the threat of Fang Han. This person grew up too fast. He was born in the immortal world before and was highly regarded by the Fang family. In other words, the former Fang Han, he is not a casual cultivator, and his starting point has surpassed many people. Although the Fang family has been destroyed now, he does not know what good things he has obtained in the true immortal inheritance. The things left by the ancestors of the Fang family must be extraordinary, even if it is necessary time is refining, but it is beginning to work now. As long as Fang Han uses it properly, he has a chance to enter the top 10 of the 10,000 worlds prodigy list. Or even the top 3. It is not impossible. Where is Fang Han now? Yang Jian pondered for a moment and asked. I don't know. The middle-aged quasi-emperor shook his head and said, in the true immortal inheritance, someone once saw Fang Han using the power of the great emperor. He left the inheritance place long ago and his whereabouts are unknown now. If you want to find him, I'm afraid you have to take action from the owner of Tianji. The strength of the emperor. Yang Jian's heart moved. He suddenly thought of a possibility. Fang Han could use the power of the emperor, and before the true immortal inheritance was opened, a mysterious emperor came out and killed the people in the lower realms of Fuiyun Mountain and the escaped immortal palace. Is there any connection between this? Before, they suspected that there were descendants of the Fang family still alive in the Zixuan realm in the past. But now it seems that it may not be the case. The person who made the move is most likely Fang Han. Because the emperor's goal was too clear. He did not target anyone and only killed 3 forces that were enemies of the Fang family. Holy Son, if you want to be an enemy of Fang Han at this time, you must kill him with 1 strike. If you cannot do it, then we, Yugzu Palace, can only choose to show our favor to Fang Han. The middle-aged quasi-emperor spoke. Yugzu Palace and the Fang clan have nothing to do with each other. Although they have received the true immortal insights left by the ancestors of the Fang clan, this is nothing. After all, countless people came in to grab the opportunity. If Yugzu Palace doesn't take it, someone else will take it. Today's Yugzu Palace will naturally not be afraid of Fang Han, who has not yet grown up. After all, Yugzu Palace also has the true immortal ancestors sitting in charge. In their opinion, Fang Han was able to stand up to the sky, that is, he became a true immortal. But their 3rd-generation chief disciple of Yugzu Palace, Yang Jian, also has the appearance of a true immortal. What makes Yugzu Palace fearful is that they don't want to be enemies with Fang Han for nothing. Even if Yang Jian and Fang Han become true immortals in the end, there will be an additional enemy of the same level. Everyone has a headache. Now that the inheritance of the true immortal has begun, it has not been long since Fang Han has probably not completely refined it yet. If he completely refines the things left by their ancestors, his strength will probably increase greatly. Yang Jian stood with his hands behind his hands, looking into the void. His eyes were as deep as a galaxy, boundless. There are no fools in the world of cultivation. Weighing the pros and cons is the most basic principle for everyone. Fang Han's threat is increasing rapidly. If you can avoid becoming an enemy at this time, it is best not to become an enemy. Even if Yang Jian is undefeated at the same level, he does not want to make enemies at will. Because he is not sure that he will kill Fang Han. He has the Emperor's trump card, but he does not know that the other party can use it. Several times, if the chicken is stolen but the rice is lost, Yugzu Palace will suffer a big loss. At the moment, waiting for the space passage to open and returning to the earthly immortal world with true immortal insights is the best policy. Sun means. The middle-aged quasi-emperor glanced at Yang Jian and said softly, "Does our Yugzu Palace show our favor to Fang Han? If not." Yang Jian spat out 3 words. He said again before coming down from the earthly immortal realm, Fang Han didn't have such a trump card. If he had, he would have used it long ago. Now that the Fang family has been destroyed, he has taken it out. It must be something fishy. Could it be that it was given to Fang Han by the senior owner of Tianji Tower? The middle-aged quasi-emperor's eyes lit up and he said in a deep voice. "Be careful." Yang Jian said in a deep voice. He glanced around, shook his head slightly and said. "The senior master of Tianji Tower is unfathomable. Within a small area of the Tianji Tower, you can explore all the worlds. The words of you and me may have been heard by the senior master of the building. Of course." Yang Jian changed the subject and said again, "Maybe Fang Han bought a trump card from the senior poster." This. The middle-aged quasi-emperor's expression froze. This possibility is not impossible. Fang Han has a lot of good things in his hands. If the Fang family is destroyed, it is impossible that there will be no capital left for Fang Han to make a comeback. Use these things. It's not too difficult to gain the Emperor's strength in a short period of time. I was able to learn about Fang Han's strength thanks to the senior poster. Yang Jian sighed. If he didn't have this list, maybe he would be confused. In a moment of jealousy, he coveted the opportunity in Fang Han's hands, and then sent people to hunt down Fang Han. If he didn't know Fang Han's strength, then didn't the people sent there give experience to Fang Han? After all, what Fang Han had in his hands was still very eye-catching. Although, he didn't know what Fang Han got, but a true immortal ancestor left behind the things he downloaded were absolutely extraordinary. Now that he had this list, his mind suddenly became clear, and he realized the speed of Fang Han's rise. If such a person could not be killed, it would be endless trouble. Yugzu the palace will be forcibly dragged to death. In the long history of the earthly immortal world, there are many true immortals who have fallen. For example, ancestor Fang Han once suppressed and killed a supreme true immortal. Yes. The middle-aged quasi-emperor also sighed with emotion. Without this list, I'm afraid not many people would know that Emperor Hades has actually reached the peak of the great emperor. It seems that it will be less than 50,000 years before she becomes emperor. Maybe in tens of thousands more years, she will become a supreme true immortal. This kind of cultivation speed, looking at the eternity, no one can match it. The only one who can rival her is Yu Qingxian from the Tianyuan world. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 300. In all realms, geniuses and talents emerge in large numbers, and in the pond, a true dragon may be born. Yang Jian turned around with a solemn expression, raised his head and glanced into the void, and continued. Go to Tianji Tower in person to see if you can buy any news about the fairy world. The Holy Sun is talking about a space channel. The middle-aged quasi-emperor whispered. Good. Yang Jian nodded. He kept waiting aimlessly, and no one had any hope. As time passed, the hostility of the creatures from the Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm to those who came from their immortal realm began to gradually increase. After all, they have no backing. The situation was better after the forces sent out the emperor. For forces like Yugzu Palace, which only had one quasi-emperor following them, the situation was not so good. Most of the forces in the two realms knew that they had good stuff. I don't know how much money they made from just one true immortal inheritance. In the short term, these forces will still be afraid of the earthly immortal realm and can restrain their greed. But the longer time goes by, the space passage between the earthly immortal realm will become more and more ethereal. The ambitions of these people will also expand rapidly. To put it bluntly, Yang Jian is now holding a true immortal to comprehend. It is like a child holding gold, walking in the busy city. This is a treasure that the emperor will covet. Even a true immortal will give birth to a bit curious. He has no sense of security relying on a quasi-emperor and his peak strength in the heaven transformation realm. The appearance of a true immortal is just a possibility of becoming a true immortal. Just like in the history of the Tianyuan world, there are many people who have the appearance of great emperors, but too few people who truly become emperors. Potential has not been transformed into strength. On the way to rise, once they lose the protection of big forces, a slight disturbance can make the genius who is respected by everyone turn into a genius. Immortal Road Withered Bones. Son, we. The middle-aged quasi-emperor looked troubled, and he said dryly, we don't have many resources anymore. We paid a huge price to buy the whereabouts of the true immortal inside in Tianji Tower before. If you ask for information about the space passage from the owner of Tianji, you may not be able to do it. We just need a whereabouts, or in other words, we only need an accurate time for when the earthly immortal realm and the purple Xian realm will be reconnected. Yang Jian said solemnly. Before he finished speaking, he spoke again. Although we have no resources, we have countless skills in Yugzu Palace. These things must have some value. Ah! The middle-aged quasi-emperor's expression changed, and he turned pale in shock. His holy son actually wanted to trade his skills. This was a bit too much. At a small scale, it means that the skills were leaked. At a serious level, it was deceiving the master and destroying the ancestors. A junior person. he is not qualified to decide whether the sex skills can be traded with outsiders. It was already very fatal to give a skill to the human race in Zixuan realm. Now, take the skill to go after the Tianji Tower transaction. He was worried that he and others would face cruel punishment even if they returned to Yugzu Palace. No problem. Yang Jian waved his hand and said calmly, in Yugzu Palace, there are only a few techniques to suppress the sect, and they cannot be passed on to others. There is no harm in trading other techniques. Yes. The middle-aged accurate hand was handed over. With the words of his own holy son, he no longer said much, he had already said what he should say. It was the holy son who insisted on doing this. Even if Yugzu Palace wanted to punish him, it had nothing to do with him. Besides, the third-generation first disciple, his identity is different from his own. Although he is a quasi-emperor, his potential has been exhausted, and his value is not the same as that of a disciple with the appearance of a true immortal, in terms of his right to speak. In Yugzu Palace, what he said could not be put into effect before Yang Jian opened his mouth. Go ahead. Yang Jian waved his hand, and then stopped talking. I'm resigning. The middle-aged quasi-emperor bowed and slowly retreated. Tianyuan World. The deserted city. In front of Tianji Building. Junzi stepped out of the Tianji Tower, stepped into the carriage, and left in a hurry. She left not long ago. A majestic figure strode over. He carried a pair of wings on his back, his eyes opened and closed, and electric light burst out, the first time he came to Dawang City. He stopped and glanced at the list in the sky. Crown Prince list. Hongxian, as the commander-in-chief of Tianhuang Eternal City, is not very interested in other lists, but he is a little curious about this emperor list. It is a pity that in the Eternal City, there was a person who became emperor just 3,000 years ago. Otherwise, he would definitely be on the list of emperors. Hongxuan's eyes swept over every list. Finally, he paused for a moment on the word Ming Emperor, and then withdrew his gaze. Among all the lists, this was the only one that caught his eye. It's a pity that the Emperor of Hades is in the earthly immortal realm, and the previous space channel has been broken. Now he can't cross the boundary. Even if he knows the existence of the Emperor of Hades, he can't compete with her. They are just some weak worlds. Hongxian shook his head slightly and turned around to walk towards Tianji Tower. The two worlds of Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm are just some little guys in the eyes of the earthly immortal realm. No creature in the earthly immortal realm will take these two worlds into consideration. And the earthly immortal realm does not take these two worlds into consideration. In the eyes of the immortal world, the immortal city is not even as good as a little brother. That's because the world where the immortal city was originally located is too powerful, and true immortals can only be regarded as middle-level and top-level figures, but retrograde in the long river of time. Such characters, with just a thought, can open up the world. They are not comparable to the creatures in the earthly immortal world, and they can't even look up. Entering the Tianji Tower, Hongxian immediately saw the person sitting there, Li Yun, on the chair. Junior Hongxian has met the master of Tianji. Hongxian bowed and saluted. A person who can casually say the name of the everlasting city. Even the city owner can't figure out its origin. He is a small emperor who really has no arrogance. If he offends Tianji, the poster is dissatisfied. He is worried whether the eternal city behind him will be destroyed. The commander-in-chief of the everlasting city. Li Yun was dressed in green clothes, with long hair hanging loosely. His skin was like jade, and he was surrounded by the aura of the Dao. Although he did not reveal any power, he seemed to be integrated with the surrounding world. Every move was filled with the charm of the Dao. In front of the seniors, the juniors dare not think of themselves as commanders. Hongxian said respectfully. No need to be so formal, just sit down first. Li Yun raised his hand, and a wisp of breeze blew by, helping Hongxian up. He pointed to the chair next to him and said, "Thank you, senior." Hongxian saluted again. Then he sat aside carefully. Even with Li Yun's words, he still didn't dare to be careless. The more terrifying the person, the harder it is to guess their thoughts. No one knows, what kind of temper is this Tianji poster? What if he is easy to talk on the surface, but in fact he is very worried in his heart? In short, be careful and you will not make a big mistake. If you have a correct attitude, if the Tianji poster has a good impression of him, he will return to the original world in Huangbilao City that day. It's a lot simpler.